Is this really new politics when the majority of the Cabinet are white middle-class men educated at public school in Oxbridge?
Is it new politics when the majority of the Cabinet... Lord Falkiner.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with being educated at a public school. I don't think there's anything wrong with going to Oxford and Cambridge. Is that a round of applause for Oxford and Cambridge? Thank you. But I think there is a problem if everybody is a man who is white who went to Oxford and Cambridge and before that went to a public school. And you would have thought with a coalition government there would have been a coalition of more people of different gender, different colour, and there's very, very little progress in that direction. And as I said earlier, if you look at the head of this coalition, it's Mr. David Cameron, Mr. Nick Clegg, Mr. George Osborne, and Mr. Vince Cable. That's the quartet, and they all look to me like they come from a very similar, narrow social base, and that's bad for the country, I think.
Melanie Phillips, the new Home Secretary, is a woman and went to grammar school, Theresa May. So is that one up for the sisterhood?
Well, it...
Depends what you mean by the sisterhood.
I've never been called part of the sisterhood before, so this is a first for me. I'm not sure that Theresa May would be considered part of the sisterhood either. It rather depends how she performs in office. Unfortunately, we've had a situation in recent years where women and minorities are promoted simply because they're women and minorities, and they haven't been very good, and they have collapsed. And that has done terrible harm to women and minorities. I want to see people put into positions because they are good enough. But frankly...
You're saying she's going to collapse?
I wouldn't predict anything, but it's a question of which comes first, the collapse of the coalition or the collapse of Theresa May. But anyway, the question is white middle-class men educated at public school and Oxbridge. It's really only those sorts of people who tend to want to run the country anyway. I mean, who on earth would want that sort of job?
John Prescott.
Michael Hesselburn.
Well, I think that it takes a huge amount of time for a society to adjust to basically waves of immigration. It takes a long time. It took a long time for the Huguenots to be absorbed. It took a long time for the Roman Catholics to settle into society or to be reincorporated into society. It took a long time for the Jewish people to be so. And now no one talks about any of those issues. On the ethnic minorities, the society is changing. Look at this audience, but look at any profession, look at any part of London or the larger British cities.
But not at the House of Commons.
Well, you'll see that David Cameron, I know the figures for David, but I may be different for the other parties, there's been a significant increase in the proportion of women and a significant increase in the representation of the ethnic minorities. And it's not easy. And it's no use using pious language about all of this. This is as tolerant a society on anything on earth. And we're working at it. People want it to happen. Change is taking place. And there are now really significant areas in which ethnic minorities are becoming leaders of their individual society.
You, sir?
This is just in response to Melanie Phillips, who isn't white and educated at Oxbridge that would like to run the country. I would. I think there's many others like me as well.
OK.
Will you get a chance?
Simon Hughes, briefly, because we're coming to the end here.
The answer is it has been a failure of the new politics. Unarguably, more than half the country are women. 10 out of every 100 come from the black or minority communities. We have failed. Absolutely
And you've got no Liberal Democrat women in Cabinet?
We have, I don't know yet, not in the Cabinet, but certainly I would hope among the ministerial group. So I think we have to not just have a proportional system which gives more women and more people from minority communities, and that would do, but we also now positively, our party, and I hope the other parties, all of them, need to look not just at positive action, but positive discrimination in favour of women and minorities. We need a fair parliament.
Michael's talking about pious language. There's a lot of pious language here. Sorry. Out of 29 people who can attend Cabinet, 4 of them are women. That's 14%. We don't have to go far. Spain has 53%. Sweden has 50%. Germany has 36%. France has 33%. We have 14%. And as for ethnic minorities, the Liberal Democrats, we were told a few minutes ago, are the party of the 21st century. Labour is an increasingly 20th century party. An all-white party, 57 MPs, not a single ethnic minority MP.
Why?
7 women.
We finish. Why?
Well, because first of all...
the voters are
well, to be fair, I never thought I would ever say this, but to be fair to the David Cameron and the Conservative Party, they actually took some efforts to get some more ethnic minority candidates into winnable seats. Nick Clegg, the master of the new politics, didn't bother. And that's why he's got 7 women and no ethnic minority. And in cabinet, we have 1 ethnic minority face, Saeed Avasi, who is an unelected peer. This new government should hang its head in shame.
I'm afraid that's it. That's it for question time. Our hour's up. Sorry about that, for those of you who still wanted to speak. But it is. We're going to be, we hope, in Richmond next week. The week after that, we're going to be in Gravesend, where Piers Morgan is on the panel. I don't know why I say that, but anyway, there we are. It's very nice to have him. I think it shows we haven't yet decided on the other